There we go. All righty. Okay. Erica, are you there? We're going to be speaking next with Erica Rushing from Flatbrook Farm.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, doing okay. It's been a wild last few weeks with the fires, but we're doing good.
I've been paying attention on your social media. You have just been going everywhere lately.
Yeah, it's we've been working doing animal rescue for 20 years, 16 as a nonprofit. And based on that experience level, we get called in for these disasters all the time. And this particular fire was very close. We were safe where we were, but most of our friends and fellow sanctuaries and animals were not. So, of course, we checked all the boxes and made sure everything was good here at the homestead, and then loaded up the trailer and all our evacuation gear and headed into the fire.
Where was this most recent one that you were helping out with?
So it was located in Calistoga, right on the border of Napa and Sonoma County, and it was going deeper into Napa and then deeper into Sonoma County, and it came right into Santa Rosa, residential neighborhoods. And a lot of folks don't think about farm animals in residential areas, but a lot of them have backyard chickens, they have a house pig, and those are all challenging animals to evacuate with. And then where are you going to put them if you are able to catch them and evacuate with them? So, we provide a safe space for them to land until things have, been figured out. Chickens in particular are one of our biggest concerns because they have extremely sensitive respiratory, and the smoke alone can kill them. So it's important for them to evacuate, even if they're not in the gauge of the fire, but the smoke conditions themselves can take out the chickens because of their sensitive respiratory. So providing that space has been pretty crucial.
I'm so glad that you're there and able to jump in. And we've actually today been speaking with Charlie's Acres and with Herd and Flock, and Herd and Flock, they were singing your praises just like during the fundraiser that we did recently, and really thanked you so much for your experience and help. And it's so wonderful that you're there to provide that kind of experience for your fellow sanctuary folks and animals.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest, most beautiful things about Northern California is we all work together. And like Megan said, it takes a village, and it really does. And we're all the village people, and not just the sanctuary founders and runners, but all the donors. It all makes what we do possible. And we're all working together. So incredible. It was not this way when I started 16 years ago. It was a very non-organized situation. Animals were kind of an afterthought with disasters. So now, one of the things that I want to mention is one of the reasons that we are able to support and get in and evacuate animals is because CAL FIRE and the local fire departments and police departments have noticed that people who stay back to fight the flames often are doing so because their animals / children are there, and they don't want to leave them, and they want to fight for them. And that puts their lives in danger. And it also puts the first responders' lives in danger, because then if the fire does get there, they have to get in there and try to save the people. So they realized, the animals and the humans and that evacuation should work hand in hand. And out of, like, they did a questionnaire after the 2017 Tubbs fire about people who stayed behind, and 8 out of 10 people said they stayed behind because of their animals. So that would have been 8 less people in danger of dying if we could have gotten in there and evacuated their animals. So now, since then, we have formed multiple committees, multiple response teams to be able to get in there. And we are considered first responders, just like the fire departments and the police departments, because they're seeing that the animals' lives are almost equally as important, if not as important, because the humans will stay behind for their pets. So that's been a huge barrier that we've crossed and grown from and learned from. And this particular fire was about 15 minutes, like a 15-minute drive from us. And I think 315 homes. They haven't really said how many barns and outbuildings have burned, but all I know is I walked over rubble and fire and for days looking for survivors and trying to give families some support and some resolution as to if their animals are alive and if they're okay, and evacuating them. And we came across every single circumstance, as far as some of the animals made it and some didn't. And it's a very, very tragic situation. So we're just really honored that we're able to get in there and do what needs to happen. And for Herd and Flock, I wish we could have gotten in there even sooner. And it turned out fantastic for them. And I'm just so happy for them and their animals, and want to extend our support, of course, in their future. So yeah, it's been a wild week.
Their animals weren't able to be saved.
It's absolutely the worst. And it's fascinating, because sometimes I go, your house didn't make it, and all of your sentimental belongings and photos didn't make it, but your animal's alive, and they could give 2 cents about their house at that point. They're just so happy that their animals made it. And animals are so amazing and so intelligent and so intuitive. Many of them found safe places and made it through, which was fantastic. But yeah, to be able to be the person that says nothing's there, not your house, not your car, not your animals. And that is definitely one of the hardest parts about doing what we do. So, and it's not something we openly discuss on social media. There is really no time or place to discuss that. But it's the reality of what we do. And we deal with it on a regular basis, just when we have losses at the farm, because of natural causes or whatever. It doesn't make it any easier.
No, it certainly doesn't. It's always a tragedy to lose an animal, because, as you mentioned earlier, because they're family members.
Yeah,
they really are.
Yeah. So, and what a lot of folks don't think about is, as we go through these fires, it's not a 1-day thing. It's not a 1-week thing. It's not a 1-month thing. The fire, I believe right now is 78% contained, which is fantastic. But the rebuilding process, as Herd and Flock mentioned, is going to take a long time. And when you have hundreds and hundreds of homes looking for a fence builder, that's hard. That is or a house builder or any kind of construction work, everyone is spread very thin. So it makes the process last a lot longer. And so the whole circumstance is long-term. And when we fundraise, we try to fundraise ahead of a disaster so that when we are going through a disaster, we don't have to worry about, do we have the funds to put gas in the truck for the trailer, or do we have the funds for the extra feed and supplies and materials needed? They're just there. And then we work to replenish that fund for the future next disaster, because it's almost imminent at this point. And it could be a flood. It could be another fire. It could be an earthquake. There's so many unpredictable circumstances, because Mother Nature as a female is unpredictable and she's ruthless. And we have to respect her and just be prepared.
That's probably the most important message here is be prepared. Be prepared.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Be prepared. And, you can never fully prepare yourself for a situation like this. It's just like saying you need to have everything in place before having a child. You don't even know what having a child is like. You can try to prepare as much as you want, and you're still going to miss things, and you're still not going to understand the whole encompass of it all. But practice, have support on hand, fire extinguishers, sprinkler systems, backup generators. There's a lot of things that can make the situation smoother, that can buy you time, that can save your place, that can allow you to practice loading your animals. So those are all things that can help, but I don't think anyone can actually be fully prepared for any types of these disasters, unfortunately.
And I remember when we spoke during the fundraiser a couple of weeks ago, you did mention doing trailer training with the animals and how important that is to get them used to it. And what we saw just now at Herd and Flock was was one of the goats. He was running some fire drills in the.
I saw that. Yeah, that's fantastic. Parking a trailer open is definitely a great option. You just got to be a little mindful, make sure that the trailer is not getting abused and lights aren't getting broken or anything on it as they scratch and rub and poke on it. But that is really important. And, we often say all the best treats and goodies like dessert is fed in the trailer, so that they are comfortable getting in and out of it and feeling the noises and its movements, but know and feel that it's a place of positivity, a place where good things happen, like dessert, and that often will help during a circumstance. But animals are probably the most intuitive creatures on earth. As human beings, I feel like we were or could have been the same, but we overthink things and become hypersensitive to things, and we worry. And animals listen, and they seem to read our minds. And so one of the most important things I tell all of my team when we're evacuating is to check your emotions at the door before you even get out of the truck, to try to catch that horse, to get it in the trailer. You want to embody and envision the fact that you're going to walk up to a calm horse and catch that calm horse and walk that calm horse into the trailer. And you are going to check your adrenaline and your heart racing, and you're going to breathe, and 4 square breathing. You're going to breathe, because the animals will be like, well, they're worried. We should be worried too. If the humans are worried, we all have to be worried. And then you're not going to catch that animal, and you're not going to get them in the trailer. So you can practice as much as you want, but if you don't practice you're on yourself during an event, you're going to fail in the end anyways. So it has a lot to do with humans and how we approach animals in these circumstances. So giving off certain vibes and energy is really, really important. And I probably couldn't stress that enough to people, is just to have positive energy. And I know telling Megan when the fire was approaching her property and she was just panicked and we couldn't get in there because we could hear propane tanks going off and it was a little scary. I just said, be positive, put that energy out there. Your animals will feel it all the way from over here. I have no doubt. And, you know, so the power of positive thinking is really, really valuable in all of these circumstances. And of course, throughout our own lives.
That's true. That's a good lesson, no matter what the circumstance.
Yep. Yep. So, you know, animals live in the moment. And I always try to take that advice from them, because as humans, we tend to worry. Animals don't worry about what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. They live right now, today. And it's such a beautiful way of being. And so that's a little tip from the animals.
Oh, speaking of animals, who's your little friend in your lap today?
Oh, this is Don
Oh.
King. Can you see why he got his name?
Oh, yes. Oh, that is one handsome bird right there.
Yes. So this is Don King. He is one of the most special ambassador animals that we have here on the farm. We don't have very many ambassadors. We try to keep our farm open for new needing animals, but we do keep usually a couple of each species for educational tours and companions for new animals that might come in. And sorry. So Don King, or as we just call him King, he is a designer breed. So that would be similar to like a Labradoodle or a Cockapoo. He's a cross between two very popular breeds. So he is half silky, half Cochin. And the designer breed is called a Sizzle. And he's a smooth sizzle. And you can have a frizzled sizzle or a smooth sizzle. So the smooth part is that his wings are smooth. They look just like regular wings. A frizzled sizzle, his wings would be, you know, kind of curly and facing the opposite direction. So, but like most crosses, they hold on to certain characteristics that are very dominant in that breed. So Silkies are a unique breed. They have black skin, black bones, black flesh. And they also have 5 toes.
Oh, wow.
And feathered feet. So his feet are fully feathered. And so instead of 4 toes, he has 5. I've even seen some Silkies that have up to 7 toes. So they really have a lot of toes. And they're famous for just being very fluffy. So he has feathering from the Cochin side. And then underneath he's got fluff, which is more like fur. And that's the Silky. He is 12 years old.
Wow.
Most people have never met a 12-year-old chicken. Most people don't even think they live that long. But he's 12 years old. He's been to thousands of schools, elementary, middle, and high schools. He's been to senior citizen homes. We bring him along for educational all the time because, as I keep saying, he's a he. Roosters can get a bad rap, But the best chicken I've ever had has been a rooster. They tend to be super social and very intelligent and kind and giving. Their job is to protect their girlfriends. Their job is to find food for their girlfriends. Their job is to alert when something's wrong. They're like the most caring of all the chickens. And so he's fantastic, and he lets anybody kind of pet him and do his deal. He's also cool because he's got a beard. Let's see if I can get this in here. So this is his beard. So it's a long beard, and he's got what you would see as like chops right here. And I don't know if you can see his earlobe. And usually they're red or blue. And then he's got a little teeny comb right here. And a big plume, which is how he got his name, Don King. But this is what the poof is called, is a plume. So he's my buddy. And he gives a lot of confidence to people who are nervous around roosters. He's just a really friendly guy. And we know he's a senior citizen at the moment, but he does his deal. He acts absolutely no different than he did when he was 5 months old. So Silkies and Cochins are famous for being very, very docile, very calm. Every species of animal has a range of energy. So like a Arabian horse is very high energy and can run for days, like a thoroughbred, very high energy. Whereas Clydesdale, like a draft horse, they're really docile. They'll run for a few minutes and they're like, yeah, I'd rather hang out and have lunch with you, you know? So Cochins and Silkies are the most docile of all the breeds. In fact, Silkies have been known to sit on eggs for the hens and pretend to be females because they're so docile and caring and giving. So, and he also has just a gorgeous coat. I don't know if you can see how golden he is, but yeah. So I wanted to introduce you to King first. I don't think he made it into our last segment.
He didn't.
Yeah, he was cruising. He free ranges. He just does whatever he wants around here. We got him and raised him for education, but he solidified his place on our farm as a therapy bird, all on his own. I went down to the barn one day and saw some chicken poop on the back of the horse and was like, that's weird. And then the next day when I went down there, he was just sleeping on her. And this particular horse was very sick and couldn't be around other animals, but a chicken, not a contagion transferred situation. And so that's when I said, are you a therapy bird? Do you want to be more than just an ambassador? And every single new animal that comes to our property that is under quarantine for safety protocol, he hangs out with. He finds them and just hangs out with them all day and keeps them company. It's the most fascinating thing. He doesn't care what species they are. He hangs out with the pigs. He hangs out with the cows. He hangs out with the horses. He's like, oh, there's a new animal and they're lonely and I'm just going to hang out right here with them. And he's super special. I don't know what he was in a past life, but clearly something special.
That is amazing. I have never heard of a chicken who can be a therapy animal. That's truly amazing.
Yeah.
Two other animals. I have heard about people having therapy chickens like who are humans, but I've never heard of a therapy chicken for other animals. That's remarkable.
Yeah. And that was on his own cognizance. You know, I had no idea what he was up to. And I just started noticing, and it's been consistent for over 10 years. He gravitates towards new animals. He especially is concerned about animals who are ill. If they have a fever, I will know, because he will tell me if they have a temperature before I even take their temperature. He paces and does this weird sound, and then I go, okay, is there something going on more here than I know of? And I'll take their temperature and be like, okay, you're right again. You're right again. Mr.
Wow.
Intuitive. So listening to animals is super educational. I've been doing this for 20 years and I learn something new every day, and I just keep getting surprised and shocked by how incredible and special they are.
They really are. They're amazing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I do have to mention, we took in a goat yesterday who was sadly attacked by the family dog, and it was unprovoked. They don't know how things happened, but it was pretty brutal. And she's alive and she's stable, but she's at UC Davis. And she's been under anesthesia, and she's having a lot of work done. And they might be calling me any minute. Like, I had no idea this was going to happen, of course, before I committed to this. But the doctor called me this morning and said, yeah, we're going to have to put her under anesthesia again and clean some more of these wounds and take some x-rays to make sure she doesn't have any fractures. All 4 of her legs were chewed on. It wasn't like a bite. It was yesterday when I talked to her, they said over 100 holes.
Oh my goodness.
Fortunately, nothing on the neck, nothing on her head or her back, but her legs were chewed on really good. And it was a German Shepherd, so it was a big mouth and big canines. And, not the dog's fault. There's instinct there. And it's always the owner's fault for not having supervision and training and things like that. But the owners super love their animals and did everything right. They had the vet come out. They separated everybody. They realized she probably can't stay there anymore because that's just not conducive. There could be some PTSD, which some people are surprised to hear, but that does occur in animals. So she probably shouldn't be around dogs for a while, if maybe ever. And don't fall asleep. Wake up. He's falling asleep. Don't fall asleep. We're on screen right now, buddy. So they decided to reach out to me for additional support and a second opinion. And it was extremely relevant to me that she needed to be rushed up to UC Davis yesterday. So right now we're rallying for funds. She's probably going to be there for another 4+ days. I'm so thankful she's stable. It seems like she's going to be able to keep her legs. But she's got a long road to recovery. And if you've ever been bit by a cat or a dog or scratched by them, the bacteria that their mouths and nails carry and how painful those wounds are because of that bacteria. So, regardless, I wasn't anticipating that. So I might have to cut our visit short so that I can communicate with UC Davis about her condition and stuff like that. But we'll kind of power through what we can today.
Oh, thank you so much for filling us in on that. And I'm so glad that you were able to give that goat a new home. And that's what a terrible circumstance. That's just so sad. I hope that she's able to pull through.
Yeah, me too. It's good to know that she's stable right now, but she does have a long road for recovery. So, and that's something a lot of folks also might not consider or think about is, we're doing all of these rescues and taking on animals and families that are being rescue work, helping the community when they have a situation kind of like this, that's unpredictable. We know multiple people who just had to move. They lost their job in COVID. They couldn't pay their mortgage anymore. They had to move. They had to move into an apartment, so they can't have their animals. That's still a daily call that we get, a daily situation that we need to manage on top of the disasters that are occurring. And we want to still be able to provide for the community in all the ways that we have been. Wake up, wake up, wake up. He's falling asleep again. So yeah, so I'll try to turn you around here, and I kind of created a little goodie basket so we can walk around and kind of feed some creatures together. I'm gonna turn you around, see if I can remember how to do that. There it is. Okay.
There we go.
I'll put King down. All right. There's our farm dog, Sakira.
Oh,
So she's a rescue too. So, as a farm animal rescue, we often take in dogs that are farm related. So herd protection dogs like Great Pyrenees, herding dogs like Border Collies and Australian Shepherds, because they really don't do very well typically in shelters. They don't like the confinement and being around the other animals. I mean, none of them do, but these particular animals tend to have a harder time with it. So we do work with our local shelters to take in a few dogs and maybe some feral cats that might be good on a farm. And Sakira came in 3 years ago as a 9-year-old. And so she's going on 12 now. And she's doing quite well. And she loves her farm life. Yes. Okay. Let's grab this basket here. And let's see if we can find, oh yeah, here's Tickles. Okay, so I don't know if anybody has heard of Living with Pickles. That is a fantastic Instagram page. Pickles is a miniature pig. He's a Juliana, and he got really sick and needed a blood transfusion, and the owner found Tickles on Craigslist and purchased her from the.
Oh, we can't hear you, Erica.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. So Tickles was purchased from a farmer to do a blood transfusion for her sick miniature pig, and it was a success, and she saved her mini pig. And then she decided to give Tickles a nice long life and saved her. And she is one of our permanent residents. And she was actually weighed. I heard talking about weighing animals at Herd and Flock. She was actually weighed at UC Davis, and she is 1,100 pounds.
Wow.
And we have a patty can pig. You want a patty can? What do you think? Oh. Not very many animals will eat laying down, but she is lazy as a pig, and that is exactly how that term comes around. Their jaws are extremely powerful. So she, with her nose, with the muscle on her nose, she can lift. Let me help you here. There you go. Ooh. She can lift 2 times her body weight. So she can lift 2,000 pounds with her nose. So she could probably flip over a small car, no problem, if she wanted to. and her jaw force is half of her body weight typically. So her jaw force is 600 foot-pounds of chomping force, which obviously can eat bones and sticks and all kinds of random things. So, hi, sweet girl. Hi, sweet girl. Up
Oh,
here?
she looks so happy.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't love some squash, right? We get donated squash from neighbors, and then we have our own garden here that we utilize. She's got a very large stall here and an outdoor area where her pond is, and she hangs out in it. And then of course the cutest little pig butt in the whole wide world. No butt's cuter than a pig butt, I'll tell you that much. All right. Oh, and then of course, here's Kang just following us around. He's like, what's going on in there? Good morning. Good morning, everybody. So we have some goodies here. Peanuts. Everything is non-salt. Salt, for the most part, isn't good for the majority of the animals here. Oh, it's starting to rain. Okay. Oh, let's say hi, Chloe. Hi, Chloe. Hi, Chloe. So this is Chloe. And Chloe came to us for a Jenny Craig diet. She came in at 372 pounds, and she should have been 130 pounds. And she has since lost all of the weight. She came in the day before the Tubbs fire. And ooh, how about a strawberry? Stew. And then this is Stewie, or Stuart. And he is a fire victim from the Tubbs fire. And so she came in the day before he did. And we both knew that they were going to be here for a long time. Her for weight loss, and him because his parents had to rebuild their home. These are some cherry tomatoes that we grew on the farm. Sharing is caring, kids. Ooh, you want the strawberry. So what's really exciting is that the family just got the keys to their house yesterday, and yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of the Tubbs fire. So these two will be going home together. And after 3 years here on long-term holding is very exciting. And look how svelte she looks. Hi, you're no longer massive. So let's like cruise over here. Ooh, we're gonna let out Jupiter. Jupiter came in from a local pond. Hey, buddy. He free ranges. He's gonna give us a flap. So he's just stretching his wings from being in his crate. And that's where he sleeps to be safe at night. But otherwise, he just cruises the farm all day long. He is a Muscovy duck. Would you like a blueberry? Ooh, you dropped it. Which is the largest breed of duck. And they typically have these what look like kind of warts on their face. So it's an easy way to distinguish them. But they're very big. A lot of people think he's a goose. And you can see he has one wing that sticks out. You wag your tail. That is not a broken wing. It's called angel wing. It's actually from humans feeding him bread at a park. And carbs are not great for birds. And it caused this condition. Scientists and vets do not know why it happens. It often occurs on the left wing. It often occurs with just the males. So he came in for a broken wing by a concerned citizen, but it's angel wing. But he's just hanging out here. It's not painful, and he's been with us for about 6 months, and he kind of rules the roost around here, him and King. And he's probably going to follow me throughout this entire tour. So here's our vegetable garden. It's on the outs right now, but we've got squash and pumpkins and grapes and tomatoes and just about anything that the animals like to eat. We grow organically here for them. And we're going to go into barn A here, which is where we house the majority of our hays and beddings. And also, oh, well, hello. This is Blackie. Blackie has an underbite, so he looks like he's smiling a lot. So this barn is actually mostly pigs, but we do have obviously a couple goats in here. Here's Hank. Come here, Hank. Everyone knows how smart pigs are, right? Hank, can you sit? Good sit. Here's a peanut. Hank, can you twirl? 360. Oh, what a good pig. There's another peanut. Smart boy. Smart boy. Okay, give me another sit. Good pig. Oh, he tried to catch that in the air like a dog. How funny. So, more goats. This particular goat right here only has 3 legs. She came in from a rescue down south. We worked with another organization for her. This is Cornelius. Hey, Corn. Here's some more peanuts for you. We had these custom pig feeders made for him. So all of our pigs, for the most part, have their own space. They've got a bed. They've got an outdoor run. So they have shade, food, water, and a custom feeder. And they wait until they get adopted. This is Sue. Don't let the name fool you. Sue is a boy named Sue. Hi, Sue. Here's some peanuts. And Sue and Gridley. Hi, Gridley. All right. I'm trying to do this while I'm holding the camera. Sorry, guys. Gridley, sit. Sit. Good pig. Gridley and then also Fred down here. Hey, Fred. They all came from the campfire. And I'm going to be fair to Fred here and give him some peanuts too. So they were unclaimed after the fire, and I think we were told they were going to go to an auction yard, all the unclaimed animals. And we and other organizations were just not going to allow that to happen. Hey, buddy, you want some blueberries? Yeah, blueberries. So we took in 36 animals, I believe, from that fire, and obviously we still have some pigeons hanging out with Freedom. See, Freedom, I'm out of squash. But Freedom doesn't require squash. Freedom's amazing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can.
You can hear? Okay. Because your screen was gone for a second, so I wasn't sure. So this is Freedom. Hi. Look at those teepers. Look at those cheepers. You get the cutest cheepers ever. Get some burrs in your hair. Let's get those burrs out. So Freedom weighs around 900 pounds. And get the belly rubs. There we go. Better position.
Aw.
There we go. Oh, big stretches, big stretches. So she came from a slaughterhouse. And we don't know why she ended up there, how she ended up there. The farmer lost their land, if she just couldn't have babies anymore. You can tell by the size of her nipples that she's had litters. Okay, Scratch is back here. She's being demanding. She wants her leg scratched. Oh yeah, lift it up. Good stuff. Good stuff. And she actually escaped. She jumped the fences and ran through a field and got to the highway and was out there with her hooves up, hitchhiking. And animal control was called, and she was picked up and brought here. And she's been with us ever since. She's been here for 4 years. She is also a very old pig. At this point, we believe she's around 8 years old, which is very old for a big size sow like this. She is the gentlest animal on our farm. And that's so fascinating to say. But I trust children, seniors, toddlers, everybody around her. She is by far the sweetest. And look at the size of these ears compared to my hand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what a good girl. She's so pretty.
She is. Show us your eyes. Wake up. Wake up. Yeah. So noon is like piggy nap time. I only was able to get the other ones up because of food. But even Tickles wouldn't wake up. She just ate laying down. So Freedom does a lot of cool stuff. She shakes. She waves hello and goodbye. She blows kisses. She sits. She twirls. We just love how smart she is. I'm going to kind of course, my battery is running low because I've been on the horn all morning with the vets. I hope I don't lose you. Hey, King. Hanging out in the office, the dog and the chicken. That's pretty typical around here.
You can tell that they're pals. They're just so comfortable with each other.
Yeah. Oh, here you are again. What's up, dude? What's up? What can I do for you? You gonna follow? So we're gonna pop in here. Say hi to this crew. Hello, everybody. Hello. So everybody in this pasture was saved from slaughter. No jumping. Peanuts. Peanuts. So the sheep came from 4-H. They were bought at the fair. And the goats all came from the auction yard. They are male goats that weren't, no climbing. You're climbing on your brother. This was a bad idea. I'm getting bombarded. Oh, even the sheep want the peanuts. How funny is that? Do you want it or do you not want it? What do you want? So the males aren't, desired in the dairy industry. So these boys were all relinquished. And I wanted to actually talk about their horns because I know it was mentioned before how when you remove their horns, if it's not done properly, they can grow back. And when they grow back, they're called spurs. and they can grow back very deformed like and not in a good shape. And that's why you might have to trim them, like what Megan was saying. But the largest vein in their body runs through their horns. So if you touch their horns, they're always hot. And one of the reasons I don't like removing horns, first of all, is that it's done by cauterizing them, which is putting a hot iron on a baby animal's skull, which if left for too long can cause brain damage. It's very painful. They don't use pain meds. All of that's kind of not great. But also, none of these breeds of these species are native. We only have like two native goats to North America. Most of them come from mountainous ranges, and we have very hot days here, sometimes triple digits. So
Uh-oh. Oh, Erica's phone might have died. Oh, no. Oh,
their horns act like a radiator, like in a car. For us, it's really important to be mindful that when we remove their horns, they actually lost their first line of staying cool and cooling off. So a dog's first line is to sweat through their paws. Goats don't sweat. A dog's second line is to pant. Goats will pant, but that's not their second line. Their second line is their horns. That's how they regulate their stuff. So let me turn this around again. Sorry. So in the garden here, there's our outhouse and some of our pumpkins. We actually harvested all our pumpkins. We got 100-pound pumpkin, which is exciting. We're going to be auctioning it off for the pigs to eat. So if you want to buy a pumpkin and then watch the pigs eat it, that's always kind of fun.
and how can people participate in that? Well, can they go to the website?
So I think we're doing it all on social media at the moment. So Facebook and Instagram will be how we raffle. I guess we're going to just take bids. I think we're posting it this week, and we have 10 pumpkins, all very large ones, to post. Oh, let me grab some food. Hey, you two. Oh my gosh, these best friends. So funny. Kira, you want to come? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, I'll definitely let folks know. Pay attention to Flatbroke Farms social media if you want to participate in the pumpkin raffle for the piggies. And speaking of raffle, we're going to have a cooking demo starting in about 6 minutes, and we had a raffle on our end to do as well.
Oh, okay, in 6 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, cutie.
So yeah, do you are there any questions or anything?
Let me see. Oh, thank you, Dee. Our ACE co-host Deidre just put a link to your Facebook and Instagram in the chat, so everybody following along can check that out. And I also encourage you to go to our vendors page, because we have a link to Flatbroke Farms website, and that's where you can make donations. And as you heard, they'll be taking in the goat who's currently at UC Davis receiving treatments for the dog bites on her legs. Yeah. And also to support all of the rescue work that you do for all of your fellow sanctuaries as well. You're doing a lot of important work in the community.
Thank you. Yeah, we have one of our giant pumpkins here now.
Wow.
Oh, here's my hand.
Oh my goodness, that
this
thing is
particular
huge.
one's 100 pounds. and grown all organic here. And we've got about 10 more over there.
Wow.
And so it's kind of exciting. It's a different way to raise funds. Some people buy them through the auction to put on their front door and then donate them back after some of them requested that it was sent here. So we sent her a video of the pigs eating it. So, hey, sheeps, who wants to say hi?
Oh, hi, babies.
Bah. Bah. Hi, come hang out. So we have 30 sheep in this area right now. That's Diana and one of her babies, Forrest. And they are all 25 animals right now, and 8 are permanent residents. So that's how many animals we have available for adoption. This is Duncan. Hi, Dunkin' Donut. What's up, handsome guy? And Roan. Hi, Roan. Yeah, and then there's Forrest's sister right here, Britt. Yeah, don't be jealous. I know you want all the attention, Princess Diana. So yeah, you know, we are based on a slightly different model than the other sanctuaries, because we do have some sanctuary animals, like you met Don King and Freedom, but the majority of the animals come and we fixed up and healthy and happy, and work on training things and at home. So we've currently adopted out over 4,500 animals in Sonoma and Napa County and Marin County. And that type of model allows us to help and support a lot more animals than if we ran the sanctuary type effort. But it is a lot more work, and you have to deal with the public a lot more often, as far as owners, and making sure that these guys are safe and healthy and not being eaten and they're not depressed. Believe it or not, we have found and met some of the most amazing people in our community, and it's very important to keep these animals in our world, but in a respectful and caring way. So yeah.
Oh, Duncan. I
And
remember
as you can
Duncan.
see, they can be pets. Oh yeah, Duncan, he's always got to be in the middle of everything. Oh, buddy. Yeah. How these ones haven't been adopted yet, I don't know, but usually when the grass starts to turn green, we've got a little green patch over there because we irrigate sections of our pastures, so they always have something fresh to eat. But we have 4 acres, so it's hard to irrigate all of it. Eventually the goal would be to irrigate all of it. But as the grass starts to grow, we'll probably get some more interest in adoptions, because you know, these guys are like high end, top class lawnmowers. They'll keep your pasture looking like a golf course if you let them. And there's no fossil fuels used, and you get a pet and a beautiful creature to look at as well at the same time. It's a win-win-win all around. You're giving a great home to an animal, and you're getting your grass mowed. And so wow, you are really into it this morning, Roan. This was a very aggressive ram when we got him, and we had him neutered, and we did some therapy with him and some training, and now he's just a doll.
Oh,
Just
he's
a
so
sweetie.
sweet. Thank you so much for spending time with us
Yeah.
today, Erica. I know you have so much on your plate today, waiting to hear from UC Davis, and I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us and let us meet all of the animals and check in on some of the ones that we saw last time we checked in with you. It's been so much fun seeing you again.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for having me, and bringing awareness to all of these amazing creatures, and also all the people that are doing hard work to help and save them. And every person that donates, every person that shares a post or shares what our goals are, what we're doing, that spreads the good word about how amazing these animals are, the better a life we will all have. And I'm really honored to be a part of Veg Fest Village. And I look forward to meeting everybody and having future things. We're currently closed to COVID, so we're hoping come spring we'll be back up and running and having volunteers and tour groups, and people can come and scratch a pig belly and pick up some poop and give some carrots to the animals, and do some enrichment activities. So
when you're opened up again, let us know, and we'll certainly share that on social media for everybody.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica, and we'll be in touch again soon. Oh, and we did have one final question. Exactly where are you located? That was our
We're
final
located
question
in
from us.
Cotati.
Cotati.
We're located in
Excellent.
Cotati. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you so much,
So,
Erica, and we'll be back in touch again soon.
Great. Thank you.
Have a great
Enjoy
day.
the rest of the stuff. Bye, guys.
Bye. And folks, since we're running close on time, I'll just do a double raffle draw between the next after Nina does her cooking demo, because I know that she is ready to go. Hi, Nina.
Hi, Christy. How are you?
Good. How are you? I love your shirt.
Oh, collard greens, appropriate for the demonstration. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of World Veg Fest. I'm really excited, and I'm super hungry, so I'm motivated and inspired. I'm always hungry.
All right, my friend, I'm going to hand it over to you, and then I'll pop in with any questions or queries.
Okay, wonderful. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome into my home kitchen. I would normally be in the Vitalized Cafe, which is housed at the Adventist Health corporate offices here in Roseville, California, where I'm at. I don't know how many people are local or around the world. I think this is such a great opportunity to be able to really reach out globally and show the world what the San Francisco Veg Society has been doing, celebrating their 21st anniversary this year, so congratulations. But today we're going to, or I'm going to demonstrate a collard green chickpea tuna, parentheses around tuna, because there's no tuna in this, but we're going to make the chickpeas so that it tastes like, well, for me, the tuna that my mom used to make that I grew up on. I've been vegan over 20 years. I've been working as a professional vegan chef for about that same amount of time. My dad is a chef. He's not vegan, but he does now eat my food, and he's learned a lot about the benefits of it. I do think my mom is the best chef in the world, and I started cooking with her at 8, so I'm really excited to share this with you. I'm going to just tilt my camera a little bit so we can get more on the board. And Christy, if you tell me if that's a good view for you.
Yeah, that's perfect, Nina. We can see everything. Thank you.
All right, so what I've taken is, this is about 15 ounces of chickpeas. In the cafe, we get dried legumes. We soak them overnight so that we can release the enzyme inhibitor, the phytic acid. We rinse them, then we cook them. The other thing that we believe doing this is important for is that it helps that the body digest the legumes a lot more easily. Oftentimes people will tell me, oh, I don't want to eat beans because you know what's going to happen. And so often, if the beans aren't soaked and that phytic acid isn't released, that can be the case. I understand that not everybody's in a position to get dried beans and soak them and go through what we do. But, you know, if you need to get a can, that's fine. Get it in water, and ideally organic if you can. So we're going to start with about 15 ounces. And Christy, I'll make this recipe available so we can get it up later. So it's 15 ounces, and I've just gently kind of forked. I don't want it to become a hummus. So I'm just forking it, and I did start already, and leaving some of the chickpea, or if you know it as garbanzo bean, whole. The next thing we're going to take is about 1/4 cup of celery. My mom always put celery in her tuna, so if you don't, or you're not used to celery, the nice thing about this recipe is you can add any of the ingredients that you are used to, and try what I'm recommending, because I think it's quite delicious. So 1/4 cup. I washed my hands before I began, and I think it's very important that I make that statement, because even though I'm in my own kitchen, I pretty much use, if I'm not more stringent, about the sanitation processes that we use in the commercial kitchen, and then that I cook for myself. I came from a kitchen, my mom taught me not to double dip and all these different things. So I already came with that. But I think today for sure, because I watch a lot of people do demos and I hear people say, well, did they wash their hands? I did. And I'm right next to a sink as you hear me putting things in. 1/4 cup of red onions. This could be 1/4 cup of scallions. This could be 1/4 cup of white onions. And I'm just going to start mixing that up a little bit. Like that, so everything's nicely combined. Now, I love capers. So I've taken about 2 teaspoons of capers, and I just, again, smashed them. I didn't rough chop them, I didn't need to. But you could replace this if you like a sweeter type of tuna. You could replace it with a sweet relish, or you could also use cucumbers if you don't want the brininess of the capers. But that is what's beginning to help this flavor profile begin to taste more like what one would know as tuna. When we say, oh, it's chickpea tuna, the minute you hear tuna, whether it's tuna or not, the brain says, get ready. This is what we need to taste. So I think it's important with vegetarian and definitely vegan foods that we really understand flavor profile. That's the most important thing. If I don't tell someone this is chickpea tuna and I put it in a ciabatta bun with lettuce and tomato and mayo and mustard and all the things people might be used to, oftentimes it takes the brain to go, hey, wait a minute, what is this? And by then people are happy because it just tastes good. I'm gonna put 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and this is sea salt, which I like to use, with 72+ minerals in it. I'm also then going to put 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. You could use white pepper, you could use green peppercorns, and then fresh grind them. I like a little bit of paprika. This is smoked. Again, it gives it a very earthy flavor, and I love paprika. The real trick to this is adding kelp, because kelp is a sea vegetable, and whether you use kelp or even dulse, if you grind that up, and this is just 1 teaspoon, that's what's really gonna bring and level up your flavor of a so-called chickpea tuna. I even make one with sunflower seeds, and I just pulse the sunflower seeds, because you not only want to fold in the flavor, you also want to texturally give the mouth that same mouthfeel that you're used to when you bite into something. We eat with our eyes first, but in a matter of seconds biting into something, it's really crucial that the brain thinks, yes, this is what I already am familiar with, especially when people are transitioning. I really like to find out what foods they like, and then I deconstruct those foods. And I have to be very, very close to the flavor profile and the texture and the taste that we already have imprinted in our brain and our palate. All right, so we've got that there. I'm gonna move this just a moment. I'm gonna take a bowl, and we're then going to move into, this is I don't have any association with these companies I'm speaking about, so you can use whatever you like, obviously. But I do want you to know what I am using. And if you were to come to my kitchen and open my refrigerator, this is what you would find in it. So the things I recommend are the things I eat, that I like, that I feel confident with giving a recommendation. So this is their soy-free, Follow Your Heart mayonnaise, soy-free, and it has your vinegar and apple cider vinegar and high oleic expressed safflower oil and salt and the rest that they do. And then we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And I'm just going to whisk that. This makes a nice base for a dressing. And what I'm basically doing is just that, but some of it's going to be used on the collard green wrap. And then I'm also going to put it in our tuna. Then I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Whichever is your favorite mustard, go for that, but I just like Dijon. I'm going to hold that there. I'm going to take a little bit of dill weed, or you could also use fresh dill, whichever is available to you. And I find with herbs often, unless you're not growing them, when you're moving into a more plant-based vegan diet, having these dried herbs, it's going to be more concentrated. If I was using fresh herbs, I would use like a tablespoon, but because I have a dry herb, I'm only going to use a teaspoon, just because it's more concentrated from being dried, all the moisture being pulled out, so then all of the flavor is held in. It's just like if you dehydrate fruits, you're going to concentrate so much more of that sugar that you really shouldn't eat, you know, as much dried fruit as we would a whole plum or something like that, because you just get all of that concentration. But it's a great way to preserve things for sure, and then have them throughout the year, because we talk about the importance of working locally and seasonally. So we work to do all of that. Get that there. And then I'm going to take my bowl back and just go ahead and pour that in. I'm going to leave just a little bit for my wrap. And again, cooking is intuitive for me. It's very much about having a recipe that is a guide, and then tasting as you go. You need to taste as you go. You need to consider, do you like a wetter chickpea tuna, or do you like it a little drier? What are the other things that you're going to be putting, or adding it to, right? So this chickpea tuna could be used as a scoop on your salad greens for a salad. You could put it, as I said before, in a ciabatta bun or on bread. I'm going to use a collard green wrap for all the benefits of that, for the benefits that a lot of my associates or those that come into the cafe are counting carbs. So maybe they're lessening the amount of bread or bread type high carb items. So that is why I choose this. You can put it on crackers. You could do a crudité and then have it along with and on side of even hummus. But all of a sudden you can begin to see that this really, the texture and the look of it, I hope you agree with me, starts to look like tuna. For me, it's not about the tuna. It's about when I'm helping people transition. One, it has to be delicious. But secondly, the brain needs to connect and go, yeah, I can go with this. Otherwise, it's going to say, this is foreign. And you're going to already get a block with how you're thinking. So as I work with a lot of people that are transitioning or just want to be, flexitarian or eat vegan till 4, whatever the different things you choose to do, those are key points, whether you're cooking for yourself or you're a professional chef, that we need to consider if you're moving over to offering more plant-based items. I'm going to sit this aside for a moment. You could put it in your refrigerator and let it get cold. I like room temperature food, so I'm not always trying to eat cold items. Now, two things. This is our wrap. I've already blanched it. You don't have to blanch your collard greens, but once again, when I'm helping people to transition, and this is a more bitter green, as beautiful as it is and as nutritious as it is, I want it to be palatable for you, especially if you've never had a collard green wrap. So I've already got this ready to go. And when you go to the store, you really want to look for the largest ones that are intact, not with holes, but if you see some holes, you know it's probably really good because the lovely bugs went for it. If there's nothing that I have to look at and wonder, I might question it, but I'm really looking for the leaves that, you know, sometimes you can get them and they're as big as my face, but that's what you want. In the event they were smaller leaves, such as these, and I haven't blanched these yet because I want it to demonstrate. I think technique is so key when we start incorporating more plants in our diets, no matter what your diet is. It needs to be palatable. When you think about vegetables that are going to go on this wrap, I've grated this zucchini, I've grated these carrots. I'm not going to put chunks of things on a sandwich that are full of water. So you have to make sure your flavors blend, because if your tuna isn't seasoned right, it's going to get lost in all that water through all those vegetables. It's going to taste very bland. And when I hear someone say, well, when I've tried vegan food, it just tasted really bland, in my head, I go, okay, the person preparing it wasn't thinking about the layering of flavors and how much water vegetables are going to add to food, that when we cook food, that usually isn't the case, unless you're talking about soups. So let's see the prepping of this. I want to take this stem out. I will just cut off the base just to make it easier. You don't necessarily need to throw this away. It would be great for soup stock. If you do smoothies, put it in a baggie or a container and add those greens to your smoothie, because as a waste-free kitchen, no waste kitchen, we are repurposing everything we can. You could even juice this if you like to drink collard green juice that I do, and I mix it with either Fuji apple, Granny Smith apple, and a little bit of fresh juiced lemon juice, and it's delicious. So that part's there. But the other thing we want to do is we want to cut out this, if you can see that, how it's kind of rigid and it's not so easy. When you come to trying to roll it, it's going to break on you if you don't. So here you possibly want to take a paring knife. Always make sure your knives are really sharp. Most accidents happen with a knife or someone being cut because it's a dull knife. So we're going to go against the spine here. And I should show you this way. Always cut away from yourself, right? So lay that paring knife. Be careful not to get the tip. You just have to go a little bit slow and you'll be fine. But take off as much of that spine as you can, so that when you come to roll, it will roll as easy as a tortilla shell or anything else you're used to. Again, I might, you know, if I'm doing a lot of these in the cafe, we have our whole bin where we'll put it in and we'll do things with it to build up our soup stocks and in juicing or our smoothies, because we do green smoothies. So that would be what you'd want to do. I'll go ahead and do this one because even though I'm demonstrating this, I'll turn around tonight and chiffonade these. And then I'll just saute them and have them with my dinner. So again, even if you buy a big bunch and you're not planning to use it all for wraps, you can still repurpose these greens for something else, chiffonade it and put it in a nice vegetable soup, and put it in a salad. Because these greens are rich in vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin A, folate, magnesium and protein. So here, if I had a smaller, see the difference in this size and then these two, I would just lay them over. I won't have the same width quite, but I can still work. And then when I come to rolling, it's more flexible to roll. But again, try to get the largest leaves. And we're going to work with the green side, the veins up that we're going to roll like this. I like to, because I think of building a sandwich, I'm going to go ahead and I just flatten my romaine lettuce out. I've cleaned everything already, so I'm prepped. We call it mise en place in the culinary world, so that you have all your ingredients. I'm surrounded by my ingredients to the point I've laid them out even the way I want to layer my wrap. You don't have to do it this way. It's just when you're working fast in a kitchen where you're pushing out a lot of food, you have to really have organization. You have to know so you don't forget anything. And I practice it in my kitchen. Even though it's just me, I still practice it. All right. So we've laid this out. Now we're going to start building our wrap, because as I talk about all this food, I start getting really hungry. I want to take a little bit of the mixture, remember, of the mayonnaise, and then I put some dill in it. You could put ranch in this, you could put an Italian mixture, and then thin it out just a little bit. It makes a beautiful dressing for your salad or anything else that you like. If you want to have crudité and then have it as a dip. You build your things up by first having a cream and then thinning it a little bit to the point you can pour it. So you can see this makes it so easy if you're busy through your week to prep on a weekend if you have the time. And then when you come home, if your family or it's just you can put a lot of things together without a lot of time that you have to take. I will take these collard greens and I'll prep maybe 6 of them. And then I'm able to just put them in between paper towels, and I wrap them, put them in the refrigerator. And all I have to do is grab one of my wraps. I don't have to blanch it every time I want to make one. And that is a note that I'm going to do something really quick so you can see what I mean by blanching. I'm going to move this just for a moment. And I'm going to put a towel down here. The water does not have to be boiling, but I brought it to a boil so you can see the steam coming off of it. So those of you that are going, what is she talking about? Blanching. I just take my prepared collard green. I go ahead and drop it in the water for about 30 seconds. And you can see the color will just pop. You've got this green here that we know, but already you can see the difference in how the chlorophyll and the green pigments have popped to be really bright. So I'll go ahead. I'm not going to do the other one because I'm going to saute that tonight, but I'm going to saute this one too. I can still do it. It's called blanching. Now, the thing I need to do is, and I'm going to tell you this, trust me, I did it. I just didn't set it up right now. Once I pull this out after 30 seconds, and I'm just looking to see that it's more flexible, pliable, right? I'm going to have a ice bath made. So I take about a bowl that the leaves can fit in flat, and then don't stick your fingers in hot water like I do. I've just worked with such hot temperatures. I don't feel much anymore. And I'm going to go through this with you so you know what I mean. 1 second. Sorry. I'm right here with you. I'm just going to fill the pot or the bowl, a large bowl, whatever I'm using, with about half full of water. And then what I would do is take ice cubes and put that in there. Now I'm ready to go and shock the green. And I'm going, remember the ice is in here, the water, and it's cold, and we give an ice bath. And why do we do this? You want to stop the cooking, because as long as it's hot, it's going to keep cooking. So it may become softer or more pliable than you'd want for your wrap. And it can tear more easily as you're wrapping. So you saw the whole process now. I blanched, I then, remember there's ice in here, go with me. This is cold. I then, for about 10 seconds, excuse me, yeah, 10 seconds. It happens quickly. You can just feel the leaf and tell that it's cooled off. I've stopped the cooking process. I'm going to pat the green dry because I don't want water on it when I go to wrap. Just pat it solid like that. And then if I'm pre-doing these, I would pat it. I would just leave it on this damp. I don't throw this away. It's okay that it's damp because it's not wet. And then I would layer my next sheet. And then I would put my next wrap down. And then I would just, you know, wrap them in whatever you wrap, or if you have a container that they'll fit in. And then you just have it like you'd have a tortilla ready to pull out of your refrigerator when you're ready to make your next wrap. The other thing that's really great about this wrap is you can pre-make these. So say you make it the night before, or even the day before, it will hold. I had to travel 2 weeks ago, and there's no food on the planes, and there's rarely anything in the airports that I want to eat or can eat. It's very limited to lettuce, some tomatoes maybe. French fries, I know they're probably frying them in some kind of animal fat. So just because they're potatoes doesn't mean they're vegan, right? So I made 2 wraps, and I made a Mediterranean salad because I had 2 stops, and it was about an 8-hour trip. So I made for my lunch. I had breakfast before I left at 4:30 in the morning. And then by the time I landed, it was 9-something at night. I still felt okay to eat, or maybe I ate it a little earlier, but people were looking at me like, where'd you get all that food? So these are really great to pre-make. So let's start with that. I'm going to go ahead, now that I've laid this out, I'm going to take a scoop of my chickpea and spread that out like that, right? And then this is the fun part. Whatever your favorite toppings are, then you can do that. You could have, you know, your family on a Friday night, or whenever you guys all get together and eat, you could just make out an array of toppings, and everybody could just make their own toppings. So these are some of my favorite toppings. I like carrots, so I went ahead and grated that. Again, I prefer to grate them versus having, even if I mandolined it, very thin carrot slices. I then took zucchini, or you could also take cucumber, and I grated that. I'm going to put, I already sliced very thinly, because remember, I'm rolling this. So I don't want things trying to fight their way out as I roll it up. Tomato. I did slice and mandolin cucumber because I just love it. But think about all this water. These are high volume water content vegetables, right? So that chickpea tuna really has to hold up in flavor. So when you bite through this, you just don't get a mouthful of water, and you're like, well, where's the so-called chickpea tuna? I've sliced some bell pepper very thinly. I removed that layer inside the bell pepper, that lining. We all know what I'm talking about. Because when you remove that very thin layer, your bell peppers get really sweet, and that bitter taste that sometimes there is left. I don't use, personally, just my personal, I don't use green bell peppers. A green bell pepper is an unripe bell pepper. So if you let that bell pepper ripen, it's going to turn red or yellow or orange or potentially purple. And that's when we should really eat it. I also like sprouts. So these are some sunflower sprouts, or you could add sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. So now you see all these different layers of texture and flavor. I'm going to sprinkle a little black sesame seeds. Black sesame seeds are high in calcium. So you can make a black sesame seed milk. You could use it as a base for your smoothies, rich in minerals and trace minerals, but a very high content of calcium. When people start asking me, where do you get your calcium from if you don't drink dairy. Well, first of all, that's not bioavailable, and it's going to leach calcium out of the bones, reverse to what they tell us. But we have to educate ourselves, and then educate the business that I'm in, my clients, and give them resources, because anybody can look up anything. And I do ask people, please look it up. Now I have that. Probably the last thing I really want to put in this, because I love it so much and it's creamy, is just my avocado, thinly sliced, very thin. Or you could mash it like a guacamole. And I'm just gonna pull that out, or you could peel it. There's so many different ways to do it the way you do. If you have a half avocado left, squeeze a little lemon juice to stop the oxidation and the browning process, so you don't have to cut that off, even though you know it's good. Most of us just don't want to eat it when it's brown. So I have then that, and I'm gonna start rolling. Now I've rolled this already in the romaine, so I'm gonna pick it up here, and you want to be mindful, like you're going to make a burrito or an sushi. So I do, this is my own, or I'd have gloves on. I do really want to get that lip, and then I want to pull back a little bit. I want to tuck that, get in there. And then I'm going to take my corners and fold them in. I see people wet it, but I don't think there's much need for that. And then I'm going to continue, and I'm kind of squeezing and pulling towards me gently as I go here. Not there. And I don't need to pull the cloth off the table, Nina. And again, if your wrap is a little smaller, this one works okay. You have it like that, and then you just want a sharp knife. And most of the time I'm gonna cut at a diagonal, because I think everything, even if you're cooking for yourself, presentation is everything, right? So I'm gonna hold it because you've got it full of things. If you have a serrated knife, it's also probably good to work with that, and then come down really clean. Now, I also like, because of presentation, I'm going to take the rest of these sesame seeds and sprinkle them flat in a bowl. And then I'm going to take my wrap. Look how good that looks. Oh my goodness. I know you're hungry now. And I'm just going to dip it. So I've got sesame seeds inside and on the outside. I've already added some chips to my plate, because I think most of us eat a sandwich with something crunchy. I'm going to place that like that. I'm going to do the same thing with my other wrap. Just catch it at the bottom in case anything came loose. Dip it again. Get those sesame seeds, and then don't lay it flat. I don't care if you're fixing this just for yourself and you're having lunch today. Make it as appetizing and beautiful and appealing as you possibly can. And then I like to work with edible flowers, because they just add a touch. And yes, they need to be edible. Know your flowers if that works. And I don't like to just sit a flower. I don't know, that's kind of old school to me. I like to take petals and just make it really beautiful. We eat with our eyes first. That yellow or orange flower or pink petal, whatever you're doing, why not? You should be treating yourself, self-care, and self-care comes with the foods we eat and the presentation, taking the time, come here, petal, and enjoying that. So there we have our chickpea collard green tuna wrap.
This was really good, and she came in and
That
You
is
want some?
absolutely beautiful. Yes, I want to reach through the screen and eat some of that right now.
Well, I hope technology is going to bring us to that. At least let me get the scent into you, wafting in your house. So, you know, if you're considering like, I don't know about this, Nina, if I can get that aroma, right? That's another thing. If we get the senses involved, the tasting, the smelling, the touching, even the sound when we bite in our mouth, the kinesthetic aspect of it, and just how it makes us feel. That is such a self-care and ritual thing that food brings. Yes, food brings nourishment and sustenance, but there's so much more joy. And I find people always say to me, Christine, what am I gonna have to give up going on this vegan diet? And I'm like, what do you mean? There are more plants than you could eat 3 times a day, 365 days of the year, and you still wouldn't get all through the plant kingdom. And we so often stay with spinach or romaine or iceberg, and we don't venture out into butter lettuce and red romaine and collard greens and arugula and dandelion. Don't get me excited here. You know, we've had this conversation. I can go on, but I just think there's so much soul fulfillingness that we can provide and teach people about with just the bountiful amount of plant-based food. It's just another ingredient. Someone labeled it vegan, okay. But please, 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 for me, I am a chef that prepares food from the heart. I love to feed people. If you trust me to feed you, that is a huge responsibility I take on. I take it seriously, but I have fun with it. My team and I love thinking about, oh, how much can we surprise someone with what they think they're going to bite into? And for me, the choice of a recipe that I would present or what I'm going to present tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, which is going to be a breakfast surprise. So you better come, because you know I want to eat it. And I'm not going to eat in front of you right now. I have manners. But when we get through, I am about to dive into this and devour it. So I'm going to get it out of my face. I really appreciate you allowing me to share your platform and just show people how wonderful food that nourishes us, sustains us, and delights us can be. And that's what it is. I just gave you a demonstration about food. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Nina. That was absolutely stunning. And I think back when my grandma used to make us tuna salad sandwiches, and just on sad Wonder Bread and
Yes.
sad tuna salad that was just kind of a funny color, and it smelled a little funny, and quite frankly did not taste good. I'm sure, if my grandmother was still alive today, she would testify herself. She was not a great cook, bless her heart. She was not. But I just think about how much more my personal food choices have opened up since I've been vegan. And I think this is such a stunning example of taking the idea of a boring old tuna salad and turning it into literally a piece of art that is not only beautiful, but delicious. I mean, that is honestly the most beautiful version of any kind of tuna salad that I've ever seen.
Well, thank you. But it is very versatile. So if you make up that recipe, it will probably it could make 4 wraps easily. Or if you're by yourself, you could have a wrap. You could have a scoop on your salad. As I said, you could have it with crackers. You could have it with a crudité. There's so many different ways of repurposing it. And based on what you partner it with or pair it with, it won't be like, oh, I'm eating the same thing. I think a lot of times, new vegans, right? They'll just eat the same thing because they don't know what else is out there. And so if I can give you something that gives you 5 different ways to work with it, then it's a little more appealing. And I think if we, like you said, just help people to understand how appealing this type of cuisine, that's what we're going to call it, is, then they get excited and it's not scary. And I mean, I hear people go, oh, that's scary, and I'm like, but you'll bite into another sentient being. Okay, I don't know where to go with what's really scary. And I think it's important also when I work with people to understand the connection of, like you said, who made the food for us when we were growing up. Because whether we really liked it or not, we felt so much love was put in it from our grandmother or our mother that's a huge component. And that's why I ask people, what are your favorite foods? What are the foods you grew up on? Because I think if we can make that emotional and psychological connection that we have so rooted with food, even though we're so disconnected from food. If we can bridge that somewhere in the middle and really bring up beautiful memories, but make it taste better. Someone shared with me, if I have time, a snack that their mom used to make. And she's like, oh, but I know you wouldn't use any of the ingredients. And I said, well, tell me what it was and tell me the ingredients. And she did, and it was a Friday. I ran immediately to the store. I got all the ingredients that I would use to replace. I made it. I took it in Monday, and she took a picture of me holding it, sent it to her sister, and said, oh my gosh, we can't tell mom this tastes better and it's vegan. But she talked about it for weeks with other colleagues because I just hit a really positive nerve. And if we can really be compassionate and leaning into people after we've seen all these beautiful tours with the animals, I mean, it makes that connection. It's a heart connection, right? And we just have to think about that in food. And it does become an art. And it is a science to know the flavors, to know the textures, to know the bite. But that's why I'll continue to do it until the Lord takes me. And then in heaven, watch out.
Oh, let me go over to our chat real quick. I saw a couple of questions pop up.
Okay.
And I know that we only have a couple of minutes. So let me get to those real fast. Oh, and my one with the chat, I've got 3 different computers running here, and of course the one with the chat on it just froze. So give me just a second. Let's see. Oh, everybody's just saying how beautiful it is. And thank you for mentioning self-care, because that's so important, especially in the time of COVID. I think people are kind of forgetting to take care of themselves in these times of isolation. And now is exactly when we need to be taking care of ourselves.
And it's so important because when we're stressed or we're not taking care of ourselves, that's when those cravings can, rise up, and we tend to reach for the things, they can even be vegan, that aren't the best for us. So I found when I first went vegan, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got a voracious appetite. What are these plants full of water going to do? And in 2 weeks, I realized I can't even eat as much as I thought. My craving started going away. And I'm a saltier type person. If I have a craving, I want chips. I'm not really going for the chocolate. I guess my magnesium is okay. Because typically when you go for the chocolate, the body is reaching for things it's depleting. But all that to say, again, if you have these things available and a craving comes up and you just grab, whatever, if you're sweeter, the fruit side, and that's okay with your diet, or the veggie side, you'll lessen, then have the craving. Self-care is about, yes, I can have it. It's okay. I need to calm down. But being observant of what we're grabbing for and why is also very important in the psychology of food, no matter what food it is, and why we're grabbing for it. And I think if we start paying attention to that, and we're really about self-care, then we'll start wanting to do a little bit better. I every morning thank God that I can be better than my best today. So I'm just trying.
Oh, and we had a quick technique question about the collard greens. So before you put them into the boiling water to blanch them, how do you, I did see you run the knife along the stem. How do you prep it before it goes in? Do you do something to the stem before it goes into the water, or is it just?
So I took the collard green, I washed it, I patted it just dry, and then I cut off the base so I have an even, right? And then I took, and that stem that comes up, if you can see it here, it's much flatter, because I already took a paring knife and I just shaved it down.
There we go.
I just shaved it down because now it's a lot easier, and I can test, like maybe I could have come in a little bit thinner here. The whole purpose of doing that is so that it rolls, because if it was left intact, even though I cut it off at the bottom, it wouldn't roll and you'd get stuck and it would break and then it would open up. So that is to allow it to be more pliable. And
That
then
is
after
such
I
good
put it
stuff.
in the water, it doesn't have to be boiling. I don't want to overcook it. I just want the water to get to boiling. Then I take it down to a simmer or cut it off. Put it in the hot water 30 seconds. Pull it out
Okay.
with tongs, not your hands like I did. Pull it out with tongs. Do not call me and say you burnt your fingers. I don't have any feeling. Really bad. Because I don't know if I'm getting burnt. I'm still getting burnt. I just don't feel it. And then I've got a bowl of water, half full in the bowl, cold water. I put about 3 or 4 cups of ice. Then I'm just gonna ice it down, put it in there until I touch it and it's cool, like it is now, because I've stopped the cooking. If I don't, if I don't do the ice bath, it's gonna continue to cook and it could get too flimsy and then tear on me. Now I have a seam that's not folding and then it's too flimsy and then it busts open and you're pissed off.
Those are
I'm
such
saving you the learning.
tips. I love it. I love it so much. And collard greens is something that I absolutely adore. And I've only ever really had them, in a traditional collard greens kind of way with onions and tomatoes and the whole, and all that good stuff. My other grandmother, my grandmother Griffin used to make us collard greens when we were little, loved those. Collard greens has just always been one of my favorite things. And then I lived in Texas in my teen years, and that's when I really started loving collard greens. But
well, the reason I came up with this, I mean, I've eaten these and I've eaten them in places where it's just raw and I can palate it. But even with that, I can palate bitter things also. Americans don't like bitter as much as Europeans. But bitter is really good for the liver and so many other things for the body. We're just not used to it in our palate typically. But I just finished a contest for food literacy, which happens every year, and it was Veggie of the Year, and it's for kids. And kids in the Sacramento, Northern California area are getting vegetables that they may not have access to. And so they get, the contest was collard greens, bok choy, mushrooms, avocado, and broccoli. And I thought, there's no way I'm gonna give these collard greens, the smothered collard greens we know about, right? I have to think of everything. So I came up with this, so whatever they had to fill it, they could use. Parents need to help them prep it, but then kids can roll and get their hands involved, because if you get kids at an early enough age, or kids period, beginning to get their hands in their food, they're more inclined to want to eat it. And I'm very competitive. I don't know if you know that, but I am. And so, it's the hardest audience to have, but I am pleased to say, I can now say what I prepared for you today is the award-winning collard green wrap. And for that, Team Collard Green, and I leading it, got Chef Champion. Woo, woo, woo. Why I wear my shirt so proudly. So there's a backstory.
That is so
Eat
awesome.
your collard greens, guys.
Yes, so important, so important. Eat your collard greens. And thank you so much for being with us today, Nina. I am really looking forward to the breakfast cooking demo tomorrow at 9. Everybody tune in for that.
Be on time.
9 o'clock, be ready, because this is going to be amazing. And we do have Chef Nina's website in our on our vendors page on our website, which is sfworldvegfest.org. So if you want to check out what she's up to, I highly recommend going over to her website. Very, very good way to keep in touch with what she's doing, and definitely tune in tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Christy and team. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
All right, folks. I'm going to do those raffle drawings now. Thank you so much. We've had some great donations come in today, and I really appreciate it. As you know, San Francisco Veg Society operates on our on the generosity of our members and donors. So we really appreciate all of your help and helping us spread the message about veganism. So I'm going to actually be doing 2 drawings. Let me pull those up. So our first one is going to be the meal from La Chancita at their next pop-up. It's a gift certificate for 1 meal, which is tacos and a quesadilla. So it's 4 tacos plus 1 quesadilla at their next pop-up. And let's see who the winner is for the La Chancita. Let's see. Oh, this person is using their business PayPal. So I'm not sure of their name, but it's Veg Ready Box Meals. So if you are the person associated with Veg Ready Box Meals, you have some tacos in your future. So I'll be getting in touch with you and let you know how you can get that gift certificate. And then the next drawing we have is for our World Veg Fest 20th anniversary package, which is a t-shirt like the one I'm wearing, plus the matching tote. And these are from last year's Veg Fest. And it's a little prize package. And I'll have that right up for you. Okay. And the winner is Kevin
Kinashura.
Kumashura, who won the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, Kevin, you are lucky. And as everybody knows, every $5 raffle ticket gets you another chance to win. So Kevin has been very lucky indeed. So Kevin, you have won the World Veg Fest 20th anniversary prize package, which is one of these shirts along with the matching tote bag. So we'll get in touch with you and get that out too. Oh, he won the Free the Elk t-shirt, didn't he? You are very lucky, Kevin. All righty, folks. So we're going to just take a couple minutes break, and then we are going to be back with our climate panel, which is climate activism during a pandemic. And that will be hosted by my fellow SFVS board member, Dan Brooks. So we'll be back in just a few minutes, and right at 2 o'clock, we'll begin the panel. Thanks so much for tuning in today, guys.